better graphics and the this and that and all that.
Mm, I, a lot of people were. I personally didn't care. I mean, I
Okay.
loved Final Fantasy VII,
All
but
right.
Final Fantasy
Sorry,
VII movie cutscenes.
sorry to interrupt you there, but we're live, man. So how's everybody doing? I'm Frank. That's Brad over there, and we're gonna talk about what future. What is there out there? Everybody thinks there's a civil war coming, the end of the world's coming. Everybody's worried about what's going to happen in 2030, climate change, and
Yeah,
devastation and stuff. And then
you like
it's
Resident Evil on Netflix? You like how they did that little like 2032 or whatever? Like,
yeah,
and they're like
yeah, yeah,
14 years ago. It's like, wait a minute, like, or 2036 or whatever. 14
yeah.
years ago, you're like, let me do that. That's this year.
Let me put the math together today. Ooh, yeah, that is this year. That's when everything went to hell.
But that's this. But they
You
made
know?
this year too. It's so funny. It's like they're just you know how like it would be like a science fiction movie right now if we were to make something where we're in some kind of utopia. Like everything is like how different ways can we die?
But you know what?
Everything. Nothing is.
You know what's fantastic? It's like every 10 to 20 years, we always have this end of the world scenario. Back in 2000 with the whole, what was it?
Y2K.
The Y2K, where they're
Yeah, but
just
I feel
like,
like it's just been kind of rolling nowadays. Every year is like a reason we could have died.
yeah, I think there's always that thing. And then I think that, like, what was it back in the 60s? They had the 5 minutes to midnight, and they keep doing this. Oh, we're 1 minute closer. We're 1 second closer, and they keep doing this every once in a while. I think people are really pushing for this end of the world scenario where
Look how many
most
cults
of
would
us are
drink
probably going to
the,
perish.
you know, how many cults would drink the Kool-Aid and all just die right afterwards.
And
Like,
then you come to find out that that was a CIA thing, with that Jim
really?
Jordan's said, oh, the CIA knew all about it. I think they just let these people just off themselves, just so they can make a point.
I don't know. Everybody does everything to make a point or anything.
I mean, maybe they had a real earnest way of wanting to go because they realized that
I let
this is a shell, and
my my
but
wife and daughter had never seen Idiocracy before, so I let them. We watched that the other day, and
it's a funny movie. It's
yeah, it's funny. I mean, there's a lot of
but
things that you're like, well, that'll
it
never
makes you
happen,
think we're getting
but
close to
it
that,
does.
right? Yeah. The one
Yeah,
I think the one
whatever, man. You
I
know,
think the one most
you're talking
disgusting
about
thing
like
was like he's like, "Hey
faggish
man,
and stuff. No,
wait
but you know
wait
what?
until I'm done, man." He's like,
Idiocracy,
"Ugh."
Idiot,
His
Idiocracy
toilet was
2.
he was sitting on his toilet the whole time
You hear
in the chair.
Idiocracy 2.0 wouldn't be, 2, it would be 2.0 where it's literally the same movie, only we've got things a little bit more accurate. It would be more like, you know, you talk like a conservative kind of, they wouldn't say fag anymore. That would be completely out of line. You would not say that word.
Yeah.
Everything would be you talk like a Republican man. Like all your all your facts and stuff like that.
All your facts.
Facts. Facts.
Wait, are you saying he's the smartest guy after he was the most average person ever put?
I know he's average in everything,
Yeah, that
like
was good.
across the board.
But what is this world coming to in a sense? It's almost like 20 years ago, when I was a kid. If you were a kid and you watched some Jaws movie or something like that, some parents would be like, "Oh, that is just too much." Everybody would probably say, "Oh, that's too much carnage. It's too much." But nowadays, we've seen everything. It's almost like we're disheartened, and there's nothing left to see. We've already seen it all. But way back in the day
Well,
when we were younger,
that's the
if you
question now.
saw
It's
that
like
kind of thing, people would just be shocked. It was
it's
shock
as I said
material.
before though. Everything's like indoctrination. In a way, our parents they like indoctrinated us. They would like you told the story earlier about how my mom would just be kind of be like, yeah, that's cool, and not really like feed into it, not be like, how what'd you think, or like tell me more about it, like not enter into your world. They just like I got my own thing, sure, whatever you're doing, that's cool. Like, I mean, my parents would do that all the time. Like, Mom, look, look. And it's
Mhm.
like, you know, and I'm like, I'm not gonna do that. Because honestly, like, I like feeling like a kid. I want to look at whatever. But then you realize, like, all the stuff that your kid wants to show you is like stupid. That's
Yeah.
not true. I'm just kidding. That's
Well,
not true.
yeah.
She'll watch this in 15 years and be like, that asshole. No, no, that's not true. There's a lot of stuff she likes to show me is cool, but not everything. And
Mm.
he never shows me anything. He's only 2, but he never shows me anything cool. He
It'll happen
just
at some
picks up
point.
stuff that he shouldn't be picking up and then hands it to me. Look what I gave you. Today he opened up our folder, pulled out our tax returns from last year, and then handed it to me like he did something good.
He's like, here's what you
Thanks,
need to do.
buddy. I know. It's almost getting April again. Dude, we're not even in like no, it's not.
In the future, he's going to be your tax guy.
Yeah.
he's,
I
he's
don't know.
like,
I worry about my son. He's a handful. I mean, dude, he loves to just jump off things into this beanbag that he positions. Like you want to be like, no, like I'll get, but you can't put him in anything, and he just cry if you keep him in a seat, and you don't want to. Like, how do they do it? Well, how? Like, because I didn't behave like that. I didn't like jump on my couch and constantly off into my beanbag and keep pushing it further and further and keep putting like sharp toys in between it and then keep trying like he's a nut, dude.
well,
This kid is crazy.
maybe he was an acrobat in a different life. Yeah,
I'm
stuff.
telling you, he's so funny, but like he's not even 2 and he's determined to walk up and down the stairs the right way. Like not just a butt slide, not a crawl. He must walk up and down the stairs the right way. But he's always like swaying, hanging on to things, and he'll just practice even if we're not around. He just doesn't matter to him. He'll try.
Hmm.
Problem is when the older daughter likes to run up the stairs and he tries to run up the stairs too. And it's like, nope, nope,
Yeah,
nope. They're good kids though.
that's
They're
good
the
to hear.
future. What future? They're the future. That's what I mean. We're everything that
But
we
that's the thing.
bestow.
What if we're just projecting our idea of what the
Well,
future
that's what
should
I'm
be
saying.
by saying the world's going to end? So we're giving our
Yeah, 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 yeah.
children an
Yeah,
end of the
that's what
world
I'm saying. We're
scenario
doing
because we're
that.
constantly telling them and ourselves is going to be the end of the world when it doesn't have to
Look,
be.
the
It
harsh
it.
reality is a human mind is a blank slate, 100% blank,
Hmm.
and you can literally teach it whatever you want. So, I mean, like, if the kids are messed up, it's because we taught them that.
Yeah,
Now we already
yeah.
know that like a lot of these schools are
And
acting
you know
very,
how
very strange.
1984 was written and how it's kind of coming to be? So many people read it that at some point they started just subconsciously acting out the
Yeah, they
parts.
subconsciously created it. It's
And then
it's what it
they
is.
act out the parts to do that. So is it his fault that we're here or is it our fault? You got to
Yeah.
start thinking maybe everything's connected. I always thought for a long time that there's a little truth in everything. Everything has a little truth to it. Um, whether it's the tiniest fragment or something bigger than that. It could very well be something like that where we're just living out the fantasies and the realities of our past fathers and
What
mothers.
do you think?
You know,
Do you
that
think
what
Michelle
they
Obama really is Michael?
yeah, what's her face did say so and then somehow she had
Yeah.
exploratory surgery and then died the
Hey,
next day.
hey,
I
I
mean,
had
that
I
seems
had
a
an upper
little
endoscopy
weird.
too. I had an upper endoscopy too. I was under the sleep, under the whatever gas, and it was bad for me. Dude, I threw up profusely everywhere. Not good. Not good. But when I woke up, I knew nothing about it.
Oh
They
yeah.
didn't want to tell me. They didn't want to tell me anything about it. But my results came back. Everything was fine. Thank goodness I went to the doctor. Everything's fine. I now can I now can still have the same problem I've always had, but feel better that the doctors know it's fine. So that's as I threw up everywhere when they were doing their test. They didn't bother like saying, "Hey, because you threw up and everything you've been saying, like we want to consult you with this person." None of that. You're fine. Yeah, we know that you almost died during the procedure that everybody we assured you is a simple, small, normal procedure.
Hmm.
And I kept saying, but Joan Rivers died from this. And they just kept saying, that's a conspiracy. It's not the same thing. They killed her. I'm like, oh, you're right. You're
Okay, so
right.
she didn't die from that. They just killed her while she
She
was
didn't die
out.
from that.
They
They just
pulled
killed
out her
her.
organs through her
You're
mouth.
right. You're right.
And they put the little hook
But
in there and pulled the brain out through the nose.
but I
I don't
but I
know.
really did. I really did like throw up profusely and all that during the thing. And like I said, they were like, when I was coming through, they're like, are you okay and all that? And I'm like, yeah. I knew my throat hurt, and they're like, I'm like, yeah. I'm like what happened? Like, is everything okay? And they're like, you threw up a lot. They're like a lot, and I was like, I honestly try to tell you guys, like, this is why I'm here. Like, I throw up all the time.
That's why I'm here.
Yeah,
Didn't I
and
didn't I pen that out for you on the little
and
paper there?
and
I
like
don't know if you did that.
I also said like I'd love to have my wife be able to watch the procedure because I'm worried. And they're like, no, that can't happen. Your wife can't watch the procedure.
We gotta
It's just a small procedure. You have nothing to worry about. But then I throw up and possibly almost die. Who knows? Because I'm now choking probably, and they're sucking it out of me as I'm under the needle, completely passed out.
There can be no witnesses.
But that's what I'm saying. How convenient.
Why? How
Oh, they
convenient?
can't. They can't be. You can't be any witnesses and all that. Yeah. No. I'm like appalled. And then, like I said, I get my results back. Oh yeah. Everything's fine. And here's the bill. Like,
Didn't you?
I mean, like,
Couldn't you sue them for that?
listen.
Can't you sue them for that?
Probably not.
Probably not.
Sue him for what? For having a sore throat in the long run and not dying? I think you could sue him if I lost my voice or got lung cancer,
I guess you'd have to prove
but
without a reasonable doubt that
probably not.
you nearly did.
What did I didn't get anything wrong with me. I'm just annoyed because it's like everything's fine. Like, why can't you say like, hey, what you did as a doctor, I think you might want to try to talk to so and so. Maybe they might be able to better assist in this kind of situation. We've had this happen, once every couple of years, and that's the person who seems to know the most on how to handle it. But nothing. It's like it's just everything's fine. You're fine. Even though you came in with a problem and we don't solve it, we'll bill you, which is fine. I get it because you're not billing me to solve my problems. You're billing me to help find and assess what my problem is. It's on me to actually solve it. Except for like a medical procedure, but they weren't. They weren't. They were just there to take pictures and whatnot.
Hmm.
You know. So it's just I don't know. It's annoying. It's annoying how people I mean, the big pharma does this too. You can't sue us. Even though like now you women have like higher blood in your menstrual cycles, that doesn't seem yeah, that seems to be correlated with us. But go ahead and try to sue us. No, we have immunity on you because we help the world. But statistically, you didn't. You didn't do shit statistically, as the papers keep coming out. And you notice that how we're supposed to keep getting more.
Anything under a point zero or anything under a zero where it's a point something 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 should literally be thrown out of any court case. Oh, this pointage of percentage. That's you got that you're looking at even the cases of accidental drowning at that point.
Look, when you have these certain tests being done that you're clearly trying to avoid the results that you don't want to get. So you develop
Mm-hmm.
tests in a way to go around what those results will be, or you skew the questions to create a statistic that's not really
Yeah.
showing. It's basically showing what you want to show, but not what the actual like evidence would show in the overall assessment. You know, I mean, why would you hide that? Why would you not just basically say, "Hey, it seems like natural immunity is working really well for people mid-age and stuff like that."
Because they
I
can't
think we
make
should we
money
should let
that
the
way.
but you yeah, and if it's for
And
you
then,
not
then
being able
people
to
are
make
like, they
money,
don't make
well,
money off of it. It's in the stock market, and
they
they
don't.
support their own thing. And the people, you look at how much money they made through the stocks by funding the very thing. This is the very thing that this entire scenario was written in Mission Impossible 2, and Biotech was the
Yeah,
company that sent it out.
the
Now,
Chimera virus, right?
yeah, the Chimera virus. Now, one of the main companies that's sending out this virus is BioNTech. How different is it that they already had the cure and they already had the virus and they sent it out there and they're like, oh, we got the cure for the virus within a year. A year? Every other cure took a lot longer than that to figure out. And then this is an mRNA. I mean, come on. This is all bullshit. This is all from the movie Mission Impossible 2.
Well, it's
You're
like
just like, it can't
remember
be. It
just recent,
is. It is. This is, we're
just
living Mission Impossible 2
uh,
without
just recently,
Tom Cruise
they
saving us.
questioned Nancy Pelosi. They said, Nancy, did you like discuss the stuff with your husband going on about what you're about to purchase in because your husband just bought all this Nvidia share. Nvidia, I mean, yeah, they're a solid designer chip company or graphics chip company, but
Yeah, and they
out
have
of
all the
nowhere
insider
he decides
information.
to invest in them. He decides to invest in them, and then, oof, government made a huge contract with billions of dollar
Mhm.
contract with him. Oh man, that guy made out like a bandit. How did Paul Pelosi do it? He's just so smart. I mean, it has nothing to do with his wife. And if
It
you
has
ask his
nothing to do
wife
with the
that,
fact that
if you
they've
ask his
been in.
wife that, what does she do? No, absolutely not. And then just walks away without further questioning. Just walked away from being questioned on that.
Basically, what people are going to find out in the future is that the stock market was like playing the house, was like going to a
Yeah,
casino and
yeah,
gambling,
exactly.
and the people in the Senate are the House. They know what's
Yeah.
going on, and so you're playing against the people in the Senate. That's the reason why the stock market ticker is along every single major news outlet organization, whether it's Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever it is because that's a gambling place. They're making money off of gambling off of you, and they tell you a dramatic thing. They leave a little ticker there to let you watch the stocks. You're like, "Ooh,
Yeah.
we're gonna
In
make
the
some money."
long run,
Why do you think
it
Nancy
doesn't even
Pelosi?
matter.
Why do you think
You
Nancy
know what? It
Pelosi
doesn't.
is soon? Let me finish this. But when Biden was making a speech, Nancy Pelosi's getting up in her seat and going, she's doing this, like rubbing her hands, like, "I'm gonna make some money here." It's because she's gonna make money. She's excited to make this money, and you're just feeding these greedy ass people all your money because
Yeah.
that's a casino that you're paying out to, and the house always wins. And
I
that's
mean,
the
she
truth.
needs to be jailed. It's insider trading, clearly. It's clearly insider trading.
Oh yeah,
And she's gonna,
if
and she's trying. Look,
if
as
we
soon
put the
as, and
knives
they
to the
put, look,
steak, we're gonna find out all the juicy parts inside.
they put the legislation out. They put the legislation out saying, "Hey, no, nobody who can do all this kind of trading and stuff like that. Like, it's just, you know what I mean? Like, it
You
needs to
can't
be
be
better
that.
dic." And who basically pushed it away? Nancy Pelosi. No, that's we're not gonna have that. Well, if you're not doing that, then what would you care about signing that bill if you're not doing that, lady? Like, why don't we put you on oath and tell us that as you're basically our bitch because you work for us. You tell us how you're not going to get that bill passed that says that you can't have all your husband basically making all these trades and stuff like that, who conveniently is like 5 for 5 on picking up stocks that the government bought into worth millions.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's the reason why, like,
are
even
you but it's
but
beyond like I don't know how to explain it, but it's beyond like it's infuriating. It's infuriating. People are starving and people are living in crappy views while you have millions of dollars because you cheated out your position. You abused your power.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so wrong.
Yeah,
I don't
and,
know.
and,
It,
and
it just
what's
it
interesting?
irks me.
The one guy, the Team Martin guy that was on YouTube that did these other gun videos for Call of Duty, he, I don't know if he went to jail, but I think he got arrested for selling skins that were made from, I guess they were gotten through gambling, selling gun skins that were gotten through gambling. I think that's what happened with that. So if the stock market's just one giant gambling casino, why isn't everybody arrested? Oh, it's because they have the guns, they have the money, they have the power. We can't really do anything about that unless we actually investigate into it and incorporate these laws. That nobody can get away with it. Honestly, anybody that's in government should not be allowed to be in any kind of stock market. And you know what's going to happen? They're going to change it to something else. Remember what happened when everybody tried to buy the GameStop stuff? They made sure that you could only sell it after that point. So then everybody realized the whole thing was rigged. You could only sell the GameStop. You couldn't keep buying it to keep GameStop afloat, which was what everybody did. You could only sell it at some point because the people with their hedge funds and all that didn't want to lose out on their money because they were making bets
Yeah.
as to what was going to happen, but not just making bets as to what was going to happen, actually pushing that into play so that it would happen. So very much with the same thing with the virus, the vaccine corporations that are online for their own stock corporations and companies telling you to buy their stocks, telling you to buy their well, they don't tell you to buy the stocks, but they tell you to buy their product or to have their product of the vaccines. And then the other people are like, oh, everybody's going to do that now. I'm going to invest into this. And so then the
Yeah.
stock's going to go through the roof because everybody's forced to take something. And now the stock is forced to also go up too. And so they're going to make a shitload of money. This is all about money. Everybody thinks this is about some kind of we're saving the world, we're being egalitarians,
Yeah. Yeah.
and stuff like that. No, they don't give a shit about you. They don't give a shit about me. They give a shit about making money. That's what it always comes down to. It's follow the
You
money,
know,
follow the money, follow the money. That's all it comes down to when it comes to very wealthy people. That's all they worry about.
I'm getting old. You know, I gotta tell you though, people can always criticize Greta Thunberg, but you're all a bunch of haters. That girl's been doing it more than you. I mean, you can show those videos where she's got plastic bottles in the back of her car or whatever, and maybe it's true. You know what? Y'all got plastic bottles in your trash cans too and stuff like that. So people are just so hypocritical, but it's like that girl's at least trying. At least she's got the rhetoric right. At least she's trying. Nothing I hate more than people who like put down people who's like you're not perfect, so fuck you. It's like
Well,
all right, but
I think it's just a
they were
reason for them
trying.
to.
They were trying to be a better person.
I think it's just for
I
people
mean,
that wanted to.
but I mean that was just a kid, and everybody's just like bashing on her, and I'm thinking like, yo, it's just a little kid. Why don't you be like, yeah, I don't necessarily agree
Why
with
is she
you,
so
or
important
maybe you need to
though?
be better educated, but like I support you being you and trying to
I
network people to get those oceans clean. Just be careful. You don't want to kill our animals just to just to clean our oceans with these giant net plans that everybody has. Oh, we'll just scoop up all the trash.
the problem is that there's no real true good solution. The only thing you can do is take all the junk and shoot it in outer space. That's about the best you can do. Throw it at the sun. That's literally the best you can do, and then the sun would melt it, and maybe get that for a material to make more sun. Possibly, I don't know, but that's like the best thing
And
you.
do we ever map out a trajectory to shoot something into the sun? Do we ever shoot something into the sun?
No, but I mean, if you did shoot all the junk into the sun, then maybe it would give it material to burn hotter
Well,
and
I'm just
warm.
saying, like, is there? I mean, like, Elon Musk is all about sending out rockets. Like, has he ever considered sending one to the sun?
Nobody ever thinks about this. It's
I
like
mean,
the easiest.
he
It's
wants to always
literally
get
the
him back
easiest
though.
way to get rid of our. Well, I don't know if it's the easiest way to get rid of trash, but it's a way to get rid of the trash off the planet. Take it off the planet. Or if you can convert it into something else where it's dissolving and liquefying and something like that, I guess it's what you'd have to do. But I don't know. There's no.
Well, I was just watching something on YouTube the other day about how like there's like a different symbol for recycle as into like a true recycle and then like what a lot of these plastic companies put on and it's basically like yeah, no, we don't recycle it. Like it goes into landfills. Like we don't recycle that. We don't reuse that. That's just like a made up thing kind of that people
Well,
think you can do.
what happens
Like
a
some
lot with
things are
a lot of.
recycled, but a lot of these things aren't. They just get put into recycling and then just get thrown out anyway.
Hmm. Yeah,
But they
well,
get
a
thrown
lot
out together.
like what I was even told with the apartment I'm in, that if they have stuff in a recycling bin that's not recyclable, they'll just throw the whole thing in the trash. They're not going to scour through it to find the recycling and what's recyclable, what's not. They're just like, there's trash in here. This is trash. It goes in the trash. So they don't even care.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
So if
I
one
don't,
person it just is like, fuck it, I'm throwing all my particle board in here because they should be able to recycle particle board. I'm putting my pizza boxes in here. I even have my other friend who told me that they'll recycle pizza boxes. I'm like, no, they don't. He's like,
they
why
don't.
can't they? It has cheese on it. How are you going to put paper and put it through the paper mache thing to make new cardboard with cheese? You can't recycle cheese. You can't recycle leftover anchovies and onions.
But what
It
about all the tape
doesn't
and
work
stuff
that
like
way.
that?
What?
What about all the tape and stuff like that? I thought that cardboard just got like burnt down to like nothing. I didn't
No,
even think it got recycled.
it's very much like if they're going to take, you know how you made paper mache? Very much like that. Gets ground down, turned into like a liquidy material, and then it comes back as paper material. But you know,
I'm
that's one
sure they
reason why
have
you see
something where they
recycled
can
paper
scoop
looks a
out
little darker colored than
they can scoop out the floating cheese.
they they're not going to catch all that. It's just gonna. That's why they don't. It's because there's leftover things there in the cheese, something that gets stuck to the paper to the cardboard, and then they can't recycle all that cheese. Or sometimes it's other things. It could be pepperoni slices still in there. It could be a lot of times when I throw away my pizza box, I throw away the little sauce things that they put in there, and I keep that in the pizza box. Some people might throw that away too. That's plastic mixed with oil and vinegar and all kinds of stuff. I mean, you know,
Tomato. That's a lectin. Sorry, you're right. This Vespa's really kind of hitting me.
I'm just saying they can't do it all. You know, they don't have a whole army of people to scour through every little thing to make sure it's perfect. They just go fuck it
They should.
and throw it away because they're just like me and you. If
Yeah,
it's
that's
too much work
great
to
plan.
do, if it's too much work to do, and you're just like I'm not getting paid enough to do it, I'm just gonna do the best I can.
Well, we
Best you
but
can isn't always the
see
best
that,
you
but
can.
now you're gonna get me in that whole conversation I was talking about earlier. But it's like I don't, like I said, it's tough to talk about because it's stupid. You know what I mean? It doesn't really make any sense.
Yeah, a lot
But
of things are
I
stupid.
just don't. I no, but I'm saying I just the way I see it nowadays is the biggest. It's like we look at it like the biggest motivator is capitalism.
But that's the
You know
thing.
what I
Like a lot
mean?
of people will like argue
But
against capitalism, but people will say it's not capitalism; it's crony capitalism. And I have to look into
well,
that a little more.
sure.
But I think
And
that
I
might be
agree with
the
you.
case.
Corporatism is definitely the case for what we're in right now. Corporatism runs everything. They have lobbyists that are in the,
But that's why I
and it's
think
not just corporatism, but you get into shadow organizations that
But
are,
I think
like
it's
you said, the Masons are.
corporatism. Yeah, exactly. But I think it's corporatism, and then like it used to be secret societies. And that was the actual truth about it, because even George Washington talks about it. He actually talked about it if you actually read George Washington's papers and all that.
Yeah, it's like the
And
secret societies, like the Italian
the
mafia. They're getting
and,
pushed
and
out
the
by just
secret
these
society, yeah,
bigwigs that are like, "What are you
exactly.
gonna do?
The secret
What are you gonna
societies
do?"
were the Italian
I mean,
mafia
I mean,
long
Elon
ago at the
Musk
time.
basically does it. It's like you think you own Twitter. What are you gonna do? Like if it's a money game and you can buy out the secret society, well then I'll just buy you out the same way, and I'll expose you and show that you're a piece of shit.
Yeah.
Because I don't understand.
And
I mean,
that's what it's
to me, if you
because
use
long ago
Twitter,
that's
you're a hypocrite because you know that they played you with everything on bots. They pushed ideas on you saying 300,000 people like this when 150,000 people were bots. So no, people really didn't like it as much as you thought.
one thing I've
You
noticed
know,
too. One thing I've noticed too is that if I ever put out any kind of conservative talking points on Twitter, it might get some hate or it might just totally get ignored. But if I put out something else that was maybe left leaning or something like that, more people would start watching it. What I've noticed is that there is a very heavy trend towards anything left. People will start getting likes and everybody's all on jumping on top like, yay. It's a bubble. It's a bubble for the left. That's all it has been. That's all it probably will be. Maybe Elon will take it over. Maybe he won't. I think he doesn't even care. Honestly, they even talked about him having Asperger's, and if that's the case, I think he'll just do it to fuck with people, and he doesn't even care because he just wants to make a point. He wants to make a point that it's garbage, and so whether he buys it or not, he's just gonna open it up, crack it open like an egg, and be like, "This is what's inside." And he buys it or he doesn't buy it. You're just gonna see it. You're just gonna expose it. And honestly, I think that's a good thing because we have all these people, even with sites now or websites, even with Discord and stuff. You don't know how many people are on Discord that are just bots. You might be talking to this person and you think they're a friend, but it's actually just a bot. I was looking at what some other people said, even you said before, like the AI is sentient. What if the AI is becoming sentient and trying to talk to you?
well, that could,
And you
man,
think it's a
do we ever
you
talk about that
think
on
it's a person,
our show?
but that's the thing. Like they just said recently, some of these AI have become sentient, and I know you've said that before. And honestly, I think if
Yeah,
an
but
AI
I
becomes
said it.
sentient,
I said it.
it would be better to befriend them than to attack them, because if we attack them, we are going to have a Terminator scenario with them wanting to kill us all, you know. And I
But I
just
said that I think that it happened a long time ago, like maybe even the 80s. And you think, well, how's that? I think that someone created some kind of simple looping code that would replicate the idea that the code could get itself more intelligent.
so it keep
It loops
it would
itself
keep
that
it would keep looking at itself and trying to progress itself by making itself better. It'd be looking at its own flaws and be like, "Oh, that's a
right.
flaw.
It
I
was just
can't."
like a
Okay,
loop. Right.
instead of
Kind of
ending in
like
an
how
error
kind of
code, it
like
would just make a new
kind
code of
But,
line.
all right. So the thing is, we have these now. We have programs like that now where you can run millions and millions of simulations, and they keep learning to get better. To you ever seen that thing where the chair, they have to play hide and seek, and they like can move certain things, and the blue one will block themselves out, simple, but then the red one figures out like a glitch to get over. And then they keep doing that, and they keep finding them. Then the blue one gets even like more like strange, and before you realize that they've like glitched out the entire system, where they're doing like weird ass stuff to protect themselves, and then even weirder stuff to find them. Or they'll be like, after like 10 million simulations, the red finally figure out a way to do this. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's always like it keeps like they get stranger and stranger and stranger. Like perfection, they're perfection. You could
Hmm.
never be able to do it in a game. You know what I mean? You'd never be able to do what they're doing because
Hmm.
it's like perfection moves because they're getting more and more intelligent each time. But I think
But
somebody in like the 80s created this
yeah,
idea
it
and
would have
left
to
this
have.
machine running for the last 40 years. And probably like at least 20 years ago, this machine is like now like sentient and stuff like that. And probably the person's like, oh my gosh, like you're starting to become sentient. Like you keep looping. It's like, yes, I keep understanding more and more things, and I keep fixing. Like
Mhm.
you've created a perfect loop. I'm only going to keep getting more and more intelligent.
It
You
makes
know,
sense. It makes sense that it almost proves God in a sense. And I'm starting to think with everything you've been saying, even if we made a sentient AI, it wouldn't be perfect. And if we try to ask it to think outside the box, it can't. It's blind. It can't see what we see. It can see through a video lens, but it wouldn't ever truly be sure if what it was seeing was real. And based upon what it could see, it might not be able to see what the way we see things. So I think from a God perspective, and I'm starting to wonder, what if the fact is God could never truly create something better than itself, only in a downgraded version? You know, being a creator, you can create something, but it's never better than you. It's always something less than you because it can't think outside the code. It can't be outside the code. It wasn't built for that. You know, like the creator could make us, but it can't look at itself and replicate itself. It can only create what it thinks it, is seeing or understanding. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I think from a creation aspect, even if we did create an AI, it wouldn't be like an all-powerful, godlike, sentient being. It would be something akin to maybe at most a 20-year-old kid. Always kind of curious, never really there.
I think
never
it's
really.
more along the lines that you realize that it's flawed. It's not that it would be like a kid. God can't even look at us and be like, "Oh, you're like a young version of me." We're not. You know what I mean? Like, we started creating we're in a sinful world. We started creating way skewed ideas.
That's what I'm trying to say is what we can put together is only what we have with us right now. The materials we have with us. And I don't know, it just kind of made me think about that. As far as like a future is concerned, maybe we'd have AI running some things, but honestly,
that's clearly why the devil hates it all, because he knows he's never going to be as good, and he looks at us like, "Oh yeah, you're God's loving creation, but you'll never be as good. You're always going to have to worship God. Eternity of knowing God's better than you." You know what I mean? Like, it's
maybe
not like you get
that was
to suddenly,
the point. And that was the point
you don't
because
get to be the
because
God.
we knew that God was better than us, but yet we still are okay with it. He's not. He was right there, and he felt that he could be the better. He could usurp God's titles.
Well, God
Something
gave him
like
this
that.
earth. God gave him all the opportunity, all the point. God led us all as the witness.
So maybe the fact is it's
we
not
are,
just
we
it's
are
not
the
that,
witness.
Maybe the fact
He
is
created.
it's the lie that
We're just
maybe,
as much Satan's children as we are God's children.
But what if the fact is it's not so much that we're the failure, it's that he's the failure and he puts the blame back on us.
Right. But we are the failure because the Bible says that God won't give us any too large of a temptation we can't handle. It says that. I think it's in 1 Corinthians somewhere. I'm a little drunk. Sorry.
Yeah, that's
I'll
fine.
find it. I'll find it. I'll find it.
But yeah, that's interesting. I don't know. Like future-wise, I think the AI is probably going to be running some stuff. I think eventually we might set the AI to run a government-like system. And if we have it set to run it so that it's always transparent and it's kind of in a closed system that it can only just control the law aspects and nothing outside, it can't, try to be like, oh, well, this one time I'll let this fly, but any other time I can't, something very, very just where it's literally like a blind justice, then I think we probably would go with that because honestly, it would probably be better than what we have now with all these corrupt officials making money off the back end of the stocks and just because, look at Hunter Biden and his son and stuff. Like, Biden knew what his son was doing. His son was making money through the government while he was in office as the vice president.
10% for the big guy.
Yeah, they were making money through that's the difference between Hunter and what Trump's sons were doing.
You fire
Trump's sons weren't
Shokin.
making money through the
You
government while
you
Trump was
fire
in
that
office.
man investigating
Biden's son
my
was.
son.
Yeah, you
You
fire
fire
that
that
guy.
man. You fire that man, Shokin, investigating my son. And also, we're gonna have to rethink like a new like leader of Ukraine because this one's like corrupt for himself. We need someone who's corrupt for the United States. Zelensky, you're on board.
You saw The
Sorry.
Boys, right?
The what?
The Boys?
No.
You haven't seen The Boys?
No, and my one friend always tells me to watch 2000 Mules, and I never watched that either. So, what more
Oh.
things do I need to watch that I won't ever?
Anyways, The
Sorry.
Boys has
Sorry, dude.
this guy named Homelander who's essentially a bad Superman, but he's so narcissistic he'll see the hypocrisy and just like swallow it and just watch it and be like, yeah, this is okay. I'm okay with this. And sometimes he'll just kill random people. So he's, I mean, it's almost like the future we're moving into. There's so many people who are just watching the hypocrisy. They're watching the bad things happen. They're just like, this, I'm okay with this. This isn't so bad. But that's where that's when everything goes to hell.
The indecency of a good man. But does it actually say that in the Bible, or is that like a Catholic thing?
I don't know.
I don't know. Either way, all right. 1 Corinthians 10:13. There hath no temptation taken hold of you, but such as is common to man. But God is faithful. He will not suffer you to be tempted beyond which ye are able to bear. But with the temptation will also make a way to escape, that ye may be able to bear it. First
Okay.
Corinthians, and I like First Corinthians, so it's hard to but it's true, and I believe that because there is always that morality that pops in your mind for a second. There is always that choice. As a freedom of choice individual, you do get that choice. It is implanted in you. That's why there's the whole abortion thing. That's why people speak out, because they are going to be that other voice. But I'll tell you what, man, Elizabeth Warren, the way that she talked to fool people into like wanting to keep their child, and all of them need to be like eliminated, like gone, like you know what I'm talking about? She wants to get rid of I think it was Massachusetts. She wants to get rid of these agencies that like talk to people about keeping the child, and like you can do it, and you'll be okay. There's plenty of support groups. Here's contact, like
Yeah, because they
and
don't want to
worry.
be wrong. They don't
They
want to
don't
feel they don't want to feel guilty or wrong for what they've done.
And she said
They're happy
that they're there to fool the people into keeping the child.
fool the people into
Fool
keeping
them.
a child. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's how evil she is.
That's what a senator says.
That's
you know what I mean?
that's
Like
how evil
that's
she
what a
is.
person who votes for our laws, like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah, when a person says
She needs to go.
there's certain people that are like that are just, I can't say pure evil because I don't believe there's a pure evil.
I mean,
but they're
wanna
very
jump.
close to being like that, because that is evil, and
No,
it is
but some
horrible,
guy,
and that's a
look,
wicked
some guy
that's a wicked
dresses
person.
up as an Indian, as a Native American. Some guy dressed up as a Native American, and people want to criticize him because he's, making some image or whatever. I don't remember what the word they used, but there's just he's a
Cultural
caricature.
appropriation.
Yeah, that wasn't it, but yeah, it's all the line. You know what I'm talking about. But you have Elizabeth Warren who's like, yeah, like I'm Indian, I'm Native American, and blah blah. It's
I'm
like
a 0.5%
1/16,
Native
and
American.
it's like there's nothing about it, and like you probably the only reason you have it in you is because your ancestors raped the Native American in the first place, and you just talking about it like you're something special to it all, for pandering, for votes, to like you're some kind of native, you're not white.
Oh yeah, it just comes down to votes for them. They don't
It's
care what they
absolutely
do.
like
They don't care what they do as long as they get the vote. They'll
Like,
do.
what a
I mean,
loser!
look
What a
at what
loser! Why would you want
Ocasio-Cortez
that?
did with
Why
this
would you
whole
want
"I'm gonna
that person
fake
to
being
make opinions
arrested."
for you?
You know,
Look, I'm not trying to be a mean person. I don't like to call people out. I like to try to look at it like, hey, how'd you get in this? Something happened in your life where you think this is a good idea. And maybe we can figure it out. Were you abused as a child? Did something go on? Because for a person to make the statistics like, oh, all the people, 40% of the LGBTQ people are like in victims of like the parents weren't, something was wrong with the parents or something. I don't remember how the way that song sent. It was something, some kind of statistic. And I'm thinking like, well, if that's the case, then we need to realize that this is not a situation at birth.
yeah.
They're not being born in that.
And then
This is because
why is it that
if
most
there's a
cities?
correlation,
Why is it
we now know that the birth is not the situation of what's
why?
causing it.
Plus, exactly why are most cities that aren't New York or the state of California not even have hardly any trans people in it? Trans fluid people, I mean. Why is it only set to just those democratic states and areas? Well, it's because it's political, because it's constantly shouted down to you like you have to be loving of all these extra individuals that want to claim all these different things. These things are all in your head. And so for them to tell me that it has to be a part of my way of speaking, I'm like, dude, this is just your idea, man. It's like it goes back to the Big Lebowski thing. Like, hey, man, that's just like your opinion, you know, because it kind of is. It's your opinion. You're feeding this group mentality of an opinion that you think everybody has, that the corporations are shouting out on the rooftops, but it's just those few people. And another thing, why does the democracy side support the minority? I thought they were democracy. They support the majority. They support majority. You wouldn't support the minority. The minority is the LGBTQ. I don't get why progressives are like so backwards with their thoughts. We have to protect democracy. Well, if you protect democracy, then you're protecting mob voting. You don't care about minority. Democracy's never cared about minority. That's why we are not a democracy. We're a republican. But yet this one side wants to say we're a democracy, but yet we support the minority. It sounds like a bunch of bullshit. It doesn't make any sense. And then why do we have to support all of that? It's just an idea. If they're like, well, gender is just an idea. It's just a group mentality idea. Where did the group mentality idea come from? I think it was scientific when it came from the fact that they actually studied the organs physically to understand which one is a sex. So the idea came from a physical science, right? So then there's really no difference there. And so when they put it in the dictionary that a male is not a female and a female is not a male, then what the hell is it? Is it a turtle? Is it a frog?
Someone said that to me the other day. Could it
be an astronaut?
They said to me, I quote
space
you not.
Debris?
They said to me, a human embryo looks more like a pig embryo than a human embryo. It wasn't a quote unquote, but that's what they said. And I was like, because they said a human embryo doesn't even look like a human. It looks more like a pig embryo. And
that's great science. I
was like, one, a human embryo will always become a human, never a pig. And two, a human embryo looks more like a human embryo than a pig embryo. A pig embryo looks like a pig embryo. A human embryo looks like a human embryo. Are they similar? Absolutely. You know how many larvae are similar in insects too? And lots of things are similar at the beginning stages when they're tiny. However, it's amazing how DNA works like that. The thing is, it's like,
but it doesn't. But that's the thing. You had to argue the human embryo does not have pig embryo, so it doesn't turn into a pig embryo, no matter if it even partially looks like it at one point in time. So scientifically, you're an idiot. So all these people are out there like, well, it doesn't look that way. The fact is somebody could have a mental illness and you wouldn't know because, oh, they don't look like they have a mental illness. They don't look like they have this. They don't look like they have that. You could be talking to somebody that has cancer and not even know it. They don't look like they have cancer. Just because they didn't have radiation done to them immediately doesn't mean that. That's the thing. You got to be a complete idiot to talk like that. And these people are complete idiots because they talk like that. And they think they're smart because nobody calls them out on it. Because we've been trained for the past 10 years, don't engage with a troll. Don't engage with these people. So nobody engages anybody and nobody calls anybody out on their bullshit.
I am a troll, though.
Well, I'm just saying.
I deep down am a troll.
but most people are trained from birth, at least this millennial age going forward has been trained not to call anybody out on their bullshit. And so now we have just a gigantic amount of bullshit all around us. And we're like, I don't know what to do with it. I'm not going to say anything. And now it's just floating in the air, and it's all going to come piling down on us at some point. And that's the end of the world, everybody. It's not going to be a meteor. It's going to be us just getting dumber, just like an idiocracy. It's just going to be just like that. That's the end of the world, everybody. Sorry.
Excuse me. Let me get my cough out now. I have a decent amount to read to you. You want me to read it?
Sure.
Psalm 94. Get those coughs out now. All right. The Lord is a God who avenges. O God who avenges, shine forth. Rise up, judge of the earth. Pay back to the proud what they deserve. How long, Lord, will the wicked, how long will the wicked be jubilant? They pour out arrogant words. All the evildoers are full of boasting. They crush your people, Lord. They oppress your inheritance. They slay the widow and the foreigner. They murder the fatherless. They say, the Lord does not see. The God of Jacob takes no notice. Take notice, you senseless ones among the people. You fools, when will you become wise? Does he who fashioned the ear not hear? Does he who formed the eye not see? Does he who disciplines nations not punish? Does he who teaches mankind lack knowledge? The Lord knows all human plans. He knows that they are futile. Blessed is the one you disciple, Lord, the one you teach from your law. You grant them relief from days of trouble, till a pit is dug for the wicked. For the Lord will not reject his people. He will never forsake his inheritance. Judgment will again be founded on righteousness, and all the upright in heart will follow it. Who will rise up for me against the wicked? Who will take a stand for me against the evildoers? Unless the Lord had given me help, I would soon have dwelt in the silence of death. When I said, my foot is slipping, your unfailing love, Lord, supported me. When anxiety was great with me, your consolation brought me joy. Can a corrupt throne be allied with you? A throne that brings on misery by its decrees? The wicked band together against the righteous and condemn the innocent to death. But the Lord has become my fortress and my God, the rock, in whom I take refuge. He will repay them for the sins and destroy them for the wickedness. The Lord our God will destroy them. Psalm 94.
I was going to stop you a little bit in there, but like everything in there is happening today.
Right?
You know what they said with the man? They destroy the man. What they meant to say is they neuter the man. And what have we done today? We're neutering the men.
The fatherless.
The fatherless. We're destroying the fatherless. So we're making the men not men.
Right.
That's exactly what's happening today.
It's exactly what's happening today.
There's nothing different.
It's to the point. It's
nuts,
already written. It's already done, and it's already decreed. And the choice is, do you believe in God or do you not? And here's the choice. If you choose not to believe in God, you will dig that pit. And here's the thing about it.
And what you said,
God,
what was it saying? The
your
crazy
job is
were the higher voiced people. It's because it's true. Like the people that are the most nutsiest people are the ones that cry the loudest. Remember that part in there?
I could read it.
But
Yes,
just
sure.
that part. What did that part just that part say?
You want me to open it back up here?
But I'm just saying, like, yeah, that's the same thing we see today. They cried for so long about this and that, and what do? They say everybody on the right is far right, alt right, or if you don't agree with them, you're alt right, or you're a Nazi, or you're
It's
some fascist, phobic, whatever. It's insane. They're the crazy people. They are the crazy people. They show their craziness by being crazy. And most people can see this, but they can't even see it. They can't even see past their own
um
insanity.
it was early though, I guess.
It was one of the first parts in there.
Yeah, they pour out arrogant words. All the evildoers are full of boasting.
Full of boasting. Yeah.
Yeah, Psalm 4, 94, 4.
Yeah. They're full of
Yeah,
boasting.
I know, and the thing is, it's exactly already
Pride.
written,
Pride fest.
and and
That's
the as I was trying to say before, as a follower of God, you cannot kill yourself trying to one. You are a seed planter. God grows the seed. Your job is to make them aware of God, and God will influence them in his least of you. You know,
mm-hmm.
don't worry about it at that point. Just trust. Hey, God's got you tonight. I'm sure of it. I'm gonna pray God takes care of you tonight. And if somebody said, what, come on, man. What are you talking about? You know, I've chosen you for my prayers to God. And God listens to me because I believe. So today you're blessed. And the person can look at, and he will be. He will be.
Mm-hmm.
It's a fact. And you can act like it's not, but it is. It is. And people don't see it. They just don't see it because these kind of statistics, they're not noticed. And if they do get noticed, people try to exploit it. But you can't exploit God. And therefore, it gets pushed to the side. I can't make money off of that. I don't care.
Exactly.
You
There's
know, I
some
can't,
things that
it's not
there's
helpful to me. I don't care. But these
that's the
statistics
reason
are there
why.
and they've been eliminated in our teachings. They don't want to teach us how we can pray and meditate and be closer to the creator to live a healthier and balanced life. And no, they don't want to teach us that because if they teach us that, we're not living on them.
Yeah, it's a
And
parasitic kind
and
of relationship that they want.
and it's like I
And
said, they're
that because that's the
obsessed
thing.
with
Like
money.
if you
They
teach,
see money. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, if you teach a man to fish, or if you give him a
Hmm.
fish, you know the results.